Welcome back. So now we're gonna do an exercise that it's a little more complex because we have a time delay here, which is the clock or temporized, as I said before, but I think that time delay is the best nomenclature, so I'm gonna use time delay now. But I already showed it before on the first video, so if you don't know what is the time delay, it's this kind of circuit here where the compressed air enters here and then it's borrowed to activate here, but then it goes slowly through this channel. It activates, it fills this reservatory, and then it, after a certain delay, uh it commutes this valve, which triggers the next element that you have on the circuit here. So basically, it just delays the activation of something. And now we're going to use this because that's what the T in the circuit means. So I'm going to just cheat a little bit here because I'm just copying it. And also, I did a lot of stuff to have it pre-made here, but basically, I'm just going to leave it here so we know when to use it. And also, another thing that's being introduced right now is the synchronous movement, which is basically that when they are here in the parentheses, is parenthesis the right term? I believe so, but okay, it doesn't matter. This thing, yeah, okay. So when it is like this, it's happening at the same time. So it is not like you do A plus and then you do B minus. No, you do both at the same time. So what we're gonna do now, it's for the first two, we already know how to do it. So we just like the first movement, it's A plus. So A is activated with A plus, as we already did on the last video. If you don't know it, go check it out. And also the second movement is B minus. So the second line is B minus. Then we have the time delay. So now I'm just gonna adjust the sensors and the part below the pressure lines for the first two, and then we come back to the temperature. Now what we have here is basically all the sensors are working for the first lines. So just doing a quick review. First, you press the button, it starts, and since this line has pressure because it's supposed to have, now not now but later we're gonna deal with it, it makes this valve commute, and then pressure comes out of it and reaches the first line, and then the first line goes on and activates A plus, and it goes here. Once it goes there, it activates the following sensor and it does the same process and activates the second line, and the second line makes B go back, and then it activates the third line. I just did the same process, and it's also like really explained on the last video. So then we have a problem because the third line has a lot of stuff happening, because we have the time delay, which I moved up, and also the synchronous movement. But it may seem like super hard, but it is not. What we have to do is, firstly, we're gonna, our time delay could be placed somewhere else, but I'm gonna deal with it on the upper part of our circuit because I think it's easier to draw and to visualize it. So basically, since we're using one line to activate one step, this step is gonna be ruled by our temperature right now. So the inside of it is gonna be connected to our third line, and that's what I did here. And now it needs to activate two movements. So what we can do is just as easy as it sounds. We just connect both of the movements, which are B plus and C plus, to the clock. So basically what's going to happen is when this sensor is pressed and the pressure reaches the third line, it's gonna enter here, and then it's gonna take a while to go to the time delay, and then the air is gonna flow through here and commute this valve. This is the initial state, so it is drawn like this, but like it would already have been through the V minus. So what happens is that it's gonna be on the other side, and we're gonna move it again. And also the air goes through here and it moves C from minus to C plus. And that's what happens, and it is happening at the same time because it's triggered at the same time. But there's a thing that we don't exactly know how both pistons go back or go forward at the same time. So what we're gonna do also is that the next movement, which is C minus, is gonna be triggered by both of the sensors. This is basically the only thing that changes when we're using a synchronous movement or an unique movement, for example. So we're gonna just add both of the sensors. I'm gonna draw it and I'll come back. So I did the sensoring system for both of the valves, and the only thing that changes here is since we need signal from both of the sensors, we're gonna use an AND valve and we're gonna connect them, and then the signal that's come out of this AND valve, meaning that both of them are triggered, it's gonna connect with another AND valve that guarantees that the third line, which is the previous movement, it's also on and has pressure. And then this is going to shift the fourth movement and activate the fourth line, which is C minus. Basically this. It doesn't change a lot, but it seems hard when you don't know it yet, but once you know it, it's easy to follow. So the fourth line, we're just going to connect it to C minus. Fourth line, C minus. Done. And then the last one, it's really easy. I'm just going to paste the sensors and just quickly explain it. Okay, so now the sensors to activate the last line are ready. Basically, I just use the same template for all the movements in the step-by-step method, and then I changed it to C minus, which is the movement that is triggered on the fourth line, which is this one. So after it finishes here, it activates the last one. And the last line, the movement is A minus, so we're just gonna move this thing to the last line. And basically that's it. Now we're gonna deal with the sensors that are already triggered or not. So we just look at our initial positions, which are the sensors being triggered already. SA minus, SB plus, and SC minus. And then we go back, and SA minus, we're not using it. SB plus, we're using it, so it's pressed. And SC minus, we're using it also, so it's also pressed. And voila. We should have something like this. And that's it. Now we can make sure that all of our pressure is here. So if we have all of the working pressure and the atmosphere connected, and yeah, that's basically it. And just so I don't forget to mention, for example, on our third line, which has a time delay, we could have placed the temporizer on another place. So instead of using it directly right after the line, we could have used it after the end valve, for example, here, so it delays this part of the movement. It could have been used somewhere else, but I think it's just a matter of choice, and also that you make sure that it doesn't affect the both ways of the valve. For example, if it's wait, right after this valve, for example, it could affect the way it goes on and off, so the pressure might not been allocated correctly. So right after a valve and before, right after an end valve and before the two-way two-ways valve, it is better. And also, like, this is a safe choice to place it like right after the line, so it's better. And I think that's it. Now we're gonna have to do a little thing that I forgot to change, so it's normal to forget it, but I mentioned it on the last video that the last position should be shifted to the way that it's activating the last line, so the first line can deactivate it through here. So basically I just changed the line that was connected because it was the wrong one. It was right above, but also don't forget to change that. I was just testing.